What's up? What's up? What's up? It is Sunday, October 25th, 2020, and this is the Sunday Evening Unwind. I am Maxwell Haddad, and I have some really fun people here with me tonight, and we are just going to, as they say, unwind. How's everyone doing?
So
Hello.
good. Happy to be here, my friend.
I'm happy to be here too. It's been quite a week. It's been an emotional week. It's been an exhausting week. It's been a stressful week. There are 9 days until the election. How y'all feeling about everything?
Well, I guess first off, one thing we should really say and stress is if you have not or you aren't really thinking about it yet, please vote. There's only 9 days until this election. This election is so goddamn important at this point. Please do not put off the one thing that you can do. Don't believe that your vote doesn't matter. Just vote.
I couldn't agree more. And I've been super inspired and moved to already see the voluminous numbers of early voting. A lot of people I know in the city, New York, because early voting started yesterday, their polling center is Madison Square Garden. And the lines have been 3-4 hours long. And I think what's interesting is all of the current president's tactics to instill fear about election fraud and mail-in fraud have just turned out people to be more enthusiastic to get in vote early, so to make sure their voice is heard before November 3rd.
Yeah, so again, please just vote. I think the numbers show that we do care and we are going to, but just do your part. That's all we ask.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about what we have coming up.
Real quick, before we
please.
do that, there's one more thing we do need to talk about. I'm sure most of you know, Kevin Smets,
Yes.
a beloved friend of all of us here at the channel, was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. He is currently going through the chemo process and things like that, and he announced it obviously this week to everyone out there. Right now there is a GoFundMe. I'm going to put the link in the chat, but please donate to that GoFundMe. We here love Kevin very, very much. We are with him every step of the way. #SmashCancer. We love you, bud. Please, everyone, support them as you can.
Yeah, and I've been sort of overwhelmed by the response the community has already put together. And also I think it's really important and touching how vulnerable and honest Kevin has been. He didn't have to tell anyone. He didn't owe anybody anything. But I think by sharing his story, it not only allows us to support him in the ways that we can, but it serves as a much needed reminder that no matter how old you are, taking care of your health and getting checkups is super important. Because he's a young man. And if you read his story that he posted, for a while, doctors were like, no, it can't be anything, you're too young. And unfortunately it is. So sometimes you have to be your own best advocate.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the election, and I think this is a good time to announce that on election night, on November 3rd, we are going to be here streaming live. We are calling it the PJCN Safe Space, November 3rd, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We are going to hang out. We're going to chat. We're probably going to consume alcohol. We are going to watch the election results roll in. We'll tell funny stories. And I think it'll be really healing, even if no one else watches, just for us to have the community and friendship support while everything is going down. Because who knows what's going to happen. But we'll be here. If you want to join us, that's amazing. But it is going to be safe space. We called it that for a reason. We just want it to be somewhere you can, if you want to get away from the news for a while, we're not going to be doing constant updates. We're just going to be chilling and checking in from time to time.
Yeah, I just know that there's a lot riding right now on what's going on, and I know a lot of us are feeling the frustrations and the stress of all of this. And so I was like, hey, I think we should really do an episode or show or something that night. Live streaming, just hang out and just shooting the shit, hoping that you guys will want some place to go to just kind of, I guess, unwind.
Ferris wants to know why we would do that to yourself. And honestly, it's like PJ said, it's like whatever happens, having the support and being together, because as COVID continues, certain things are loosening in certain areas for better or worse, but you can't have like an election party or necessarily be with a lot of people as you might want to be to have that support you need. So we're going to be that support for each other, and if you want to join us, we'll be that support for you.
Mhm.
Whatever happens, however it goes, we'll be here as long as it takes all night. It could be one of our longest streams ever. I don't know. But we have some other fun stuff coming up, some cheerier, more exciting stuff. I cannot believe that it's Halloween week.
I know.
Tomorrow night, Monday, we are doing Frankenweenie watch along. I love this movie, and as I've been saying, we're going to watch both the short film and then the feature length animated film, both of which are available on Disney Plus. We'll start at the normal time because combining the two together is still the runtime of a typical film. The short is less than 20 minutes. That'll be tomorrow. That'll be really fun. I like those movies quite a bit. And then on Wednesday, we are doing a very cool new format for Suddenly Soundtracks called Add It to Playlist. Chris, you want to talk a little bit about Add It to Playlist Halloween Party?
All 5 of the panelists, it's not like a Survivor Island where we have to figure out the 10 songs to put on a playlist. No, we're procuring a playlist all together, and everybody brought 10 songs, and we're just going to create the playlist, and we're going to talk about why these songs will be perfect for a Halloween playlist. And at the end, you will have an entire playlist with a full link for a good Halloween party as made by us. So I think it's kind of cool. So
I thought at the end we were getting to a ring and fighting to see who had the best playlist. Is that wrong?
That too.
Because I've been practicing. It's going to be a bloodbath. What's up, Kale? How are you doing, buddy?
What's up, Kale?
Okay. Then Friday night, I guess it's Tim Burton week. Yep. We're doing a watch along of Sleepy Hollow, and the graphic and spelling on this is finally fixed. It was wrong for about a month.
More than that. Yep.
Sleepy Hollow is currently available on Netflix. Knowing our luck, they'll pull it off Netflix on Thursday.
Yes, because that's happened way too many times.
It really has.
And we have a good panel for that. There's a lot of people who love that.
Yeah, Aaliyah's going to be joining us. I'm sure you all know who she is, and a couple other people. It's going to be really fun. But like I said, I can't tell you how many times we've planned to watch along, specifically because it was available on a fairly accessible streaming service, only for it to be the day of the watch along, and we're like, nope. It's gone.
It happened to, I think it happened to, what was it?
Conjuring. It happened to the first Conjuring. Didn't happen to the Addams Family also?
It happened to the Addams Family. It happened to Godzilla, which was even more awkward when that situation with that whole night altogether. It's happened a few times because we plan ahead, and I guarantee a bunch of the stuff on our Christmas stuff will be either pulled or moved around by the time we get to it.
Right.
So we're going to need to be on top of it.
Halloween night, and I'll tell you why this ties into Christmas in a second. So Halloween night, we are doing an incredible double feature. We are doing Trick or Treat, which is one of my favorite Halloween movies. I think it's so fun and clever, and I love the way it's sort of an anthology in and of itself, with so many great actors. Dylan O'Brien, Anna Paquin. It's a great movie. Followed by 2018's Halloween, directed by David Gordon Green, and co-written by Danny McBride. It's quite a good film, and I'm really excited to watch those two.
I've never seen them.
But on Halloween night, we are going to reveal our full slate of November and December Merry Movie Squad. It reminds me of a time a couple years ago where I went to Duane Reade, which is like a Walgreens or CVS store, at 12:30 a.m. On Halloween night. So technically it was November 1st. And the aisle, the seasonal aisle, was halfway split between Halloween. They're pulling the Halloween stuff down and putting the Christmas stuff up. So that's going to be our channel. So as soon as Halloween's done, our scary masks come off, and then it's fucking Santa Claus and joy for the next 2 months, whether you like it or not.
That was the inspiration for Tim Burton for Nightmare Before Christmas.
Jingle all the way.
Jingle all the way?
Jingle all the way.
Put that cookie down.
We are going to be saving Scream. It just
that didn't end up happening.
It ended up being harder to reschedule.
PJ, I've told PJ this before. Nothing says we can't do horror watch-alongs not during Halloween.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
there's always Scary Movie Squad season 2.
Because we all love horror movies.
Yeah. So, once after Merry Movie Squad, when it just comes back to loosely themed watch-alongs in January and February and March, etc., we may throw in a horror movie. So maybe we'll do Scream then, because I could watch Scream any day of the week.
And whenever we do a horror movie, it'll always be under the Scary Movie Squad banner.
Yeah.
So whatever.
I do have something in my head, and I've spoken with people about it. I'm not going to reveal anything now, but a theme we can do one month that's very sci-fi and horror related. So
That'd be cool.
in the future.
Sci-Fi Squad. There we go.
I will say that January is going to be a little personalized to some of my tastes, just because it's my birthday month. So I want to. Maybe we'll do a double feature.
My birthday month.
Yeah, there we go. We'll make everything themed to everyone's birthdays.
We're going to watch Pee-wee's Big Adventure for 3 Fridays in a row.
Awesome.
Oh my
King
God.
Kong, all 3 versions on
Yeah.
June. That's a joke.
So forgive me, I do not have a thumbnail, but of course we have to shout out our Patreon producers. Has the new month started yet, or is it still the old month?
If they signed up, let's.
All right. So we have two executive producers, which is absolutely incredible. We had this tier locked to one person because we didn't even think one person would want to do this tier, but we have 2. Our first, you know her, you love her. It's Brandy Parker. She's an incredible supporter of this channel. Thank you so much for everything you do for us, Brandy. Yes. Our second is someone that honestly I'm not even that familiar with. He was new to our content and enjoyed it so much. He was like, you know what? Let's give him some money. He's an executive producer, Ricardo Franco, no relation to the Tank.
As far as I know, I do have an uncle named Ricardo Franco, but I don't think it's him.
That would be quite funny if it was your uncle. He's like, oh, it's my nephew. Look at this. Let's give him some money. And then our Ruby tier producers, we have Michael K., we have Stephen White, we have Kale the Youth Critic, we have Molly Damon, we have Bador, we have Ferris Muthana, and Brandon Buckingham. I remembered them all without having the names in front of me. I'm so proud of myself. Thank you all so much. If you're interested in joining our Patreon, we have so many different tiers you could choose from. Sapphire, Emerald, Ruby, Gold, Platinum. No, we do not send you jewels. So don't get any funny ideas, but there's so much great stuff you can have access to. You can be in our private Discord, outtakes from BoxBox and other stuff, exclusive AMA streams. And yes, I know we haven't done one of those yet, but we will be contacting the patrons this week, I promise, and we will be setting up our first exclusive AMA stream in the next couple of days. And AMA literally means AMA. Anything you want us to answer, we will. You can vote on upcoming content. The gold tier, which is now available, you can vote on a Suddenly Soundtracks, as Brandy just did. That was Cabaret. That was last week. It was, I thought, a spectacular show. We sort of deviated a little bit from the traditional Suddenly Soundtracks just because Cabaret is such a deep, complex piece of cinema and theater. We talked about all the themes. Whitney is still in this. Whitney wasn't on the show.
Whitney couldn't make it, but Preston Allen, he was amazing.
Yeah, so I highly recommend you watch that if you haven't watched it. And with the executive producer credits, they get to pick a watch along. So who knows what they're going to pick? Yep. They could be like, you know what? I want you to do a double feature of Sallow and Cats, and we would have no choice in the matter.
Oh, by the way, Brandy wants to say it was a great show.
I'm glad, Brandy. I'm glad. I felt a little.
Was a request.
I'm sure we all felt a little pressure because it was a specific request, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. That makes me happy. Yeah. But you know what? You know what we're here to do? We're here to unwind. And I always
I'm unwound Tim right now. See, it's all lowercase because that's less.
You know what?
You're just like so chill, and you're still PJ Voorhees.
I changed it specifically for today.
That's okay.
Because it's Halloween month, and I've been watching all the Friday the 13th stuff again. I'm like deep down another rabbit hole, so you know.
And I'm laxing with my salad. So.
Oh my God! Twitter and salad. Jake Iacovetta, who happened to be watching when that happened, actually designed a shirt. And I'm going to contact him and ask him if he would send me a PNG, and I'm going to put that up on our TeePublic, or let him put it up so he can make the money because it's his design. But I love his design. If you're watching, Jake, or you see this later, hit me up. Let's make something happen with that.
You the man, Ferris.
With that design you made. Tim Franco is the fucking man. Okay, good. I mean, I want PJ to watch Cats, and I want to be there when PJ watches Cats.
I think it's going to happen regardless.
So we'll do it. You don't have to waste your watch along pick on that.
Yeah. Cats is actually would be a lot of fun just to watch.
It's happening because you guys keep pushing it in the chat. So
PJ, what's your pop culture week been like? What have you been watching, playing, doing?
So a couple of things for me this week. Obviously, kind of like I said.
So you know how you have a Finsta. So Chris is on salad, but it's a mallet.
Yeah,
it's a malicious salad, so he doesn't want anyone to know his username. So only special people. Anyways, back to you, PJ. My apologies.
No, you're fine. I've been kind of jumping around a lot. Like I said, I've been watching a lot of the Friday the 13th stuff because the box set got here, which you can see right behind me. So I've been having fun
your
diving
beautifully, specially curated red cases. Look at you go. You go, Glenn Coco.
Thanks, buddy. And so been watching a lot of that. But of course, you guys know I'm a huge fan of Tremors, and Tremors 7 came out this week. And I got to be honest, I was not sure what to expect. Tremors to me has been one of the direct-to-video continuations since the original, where the franchise has actually still been good. Like, it's never gone completely off the rails. And this was the 30th anniversary, so you had to do something that felt like it earned its 30th anniversary mark, and I felt like it did just that. I thought it was a step up from the last movie by quite a bit, and it made me a little teary-eyed at the end, which I was not expecting from a Tremors film.
I was surprised to see that it was on Netflix the same day it came out on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I didn't know that either until Tim told me, so I thought that was
my
really
dirty
cool.
little secret is, and I think everyone knows that I've seen a lot of fucking movies. I've never seen a single Tremors movie, but I know how much you love them, and I also know how much Kevin Smets loves the Tremors movie. So I have purchased all 7 Tremors movies, and in the next couple weeks, I am going to watch them all and get in on this Tremors action. I see that Jamie Kennedy's in some of them. I'm really excited. Yeah. Kevin Bacon, of course, is in the original, and I've owned the original on Blu-ray for like a decade, and it's just one of those Blu-rays I've owned and for whatever reason never watched. So I'm really excited to dive into the Tremors franchise, and maybe on a future Unwind I'll be able to unwind about
what's
on Tremors.
What's going to be funny?
Shrieker Island. It sounds like a game you would download on your phone.
It's going to be funny because I think you're going to really love the original Tremors so much. And knowing you'll probably pick up the 4K after you watch it that Arrow's putting out, since they're doing this.
Yeah, Arrow does incredible sets.
Well,
they're doing that one of Southland Tales that I cannot wait to get.
Well, between that and now Shout Factory, who obviously I love, again, the Friday the 13th box that was done by them, and it's remarkable what they've been able to do with it. But they have a 4K of both Prince of Darkness, They Live, and Army of Darkness all coming out in the next couple of months.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you say Prince of Darkness?
Sorry, I did.
PJCN favorite Donald
fucking Pleasance, my friends.
I am like this close to getting that man's visage tattooed somewhere on my body.
And to turn it right back around to Tremors, it also stars Victor Wong in Tremors.
Yeah, he's in the original. So I'm super excited about that. But my pop culture week has been a lot of fun of watching scary movies because it's the season, just having a good time. But
go ahead. If the other one that we've all watched except for Chris, we'll save for a little later.
Yeah.
I thought that's your question. But yes, let's talk about the set.
Back to the Future has arrived in 4K.
Yes.
And I am super happy to say that not only is it just a beautiful set to look at. I love these movies. It's my favorite trilogy of all time. This is the best these movies have ever looked. For the first time, they actually look natural. Like, the original Blu-ray restoration was actually not great and had a lot of problems, and this is the first time that everything looks clean. It looks like film. This movie, the original, looks so incredible. It was like watching it for the first time. Some of the details that you could see I'd never even noticed before, which is really, really cool. Very, very happy with the set. Best Buy did a really awesome Steelbook set, which
who put that up?
I don't know. I didn't put it up.
But the cool thing is each one.
Yeah, where's that Steelbook set? Because I didn't get the Steelbook set, and that looks great.
It was Best Buy, and so every one of these corresponds with a different time that they travel to in it, and it's one giant like actual logo, and I'm not going to pull it up because it's not going to really work and look real nice. But
Hey, Kylie, how are you doing?
I really, really love the set. There's some new special features, including a look at the musical, which is very cool too. If you guys get a chance, definitely recommend it. If you've never seen Back to the Future, please, it's on Netflix.
And
Watch it.
I sent the link to PJ, and he was mad because he might have to spend more money. But Zavvi, and if you're not familiar with the website Zavvi, you should be if you collect physical media. They have a lot of incredible exclusive steelbooks, and yes, some of them are UK steelbooks, but 4K doesn't have region coding like Blu-ray. So even if you get a 4K that's British, which a lot of Zavvi stuff is, it will play on your 4K player. But they also launched an anniversary collection of Back to the Future merch, and they have some really, really, really cool stuff.
They really do. I'm gonna pull one up real quick.
There was a varsity jacket that I was like, if I didn't already have like 20 different outerwear options, I would get. But
I'm loading it. But this is, speaking of Zavvi, this is the one that they just put on sale this week that I lost my mind about. I sent it to Max immediately. This Shaun of the Dead one, which is a love letter to the old George A. Romero Dawn of the Dead poster, is so good. Love that it has the original teaser poster on the inside of the steelbook. Totally worth it for 4K.
Ferris asks, what is a steelbook? A steelbook is a type of case that a Blu-ray or used to be a DVD comes in that tend to be exclusive to Best Buy or Zavvi, or sometimes Walmart or Target will have them. And it's basically a hard metal case. PJ, can you hold up one of those steelbooks and sort of tap on it?
Yeah, here's one of them. This is another new one I just got, which is Full Metal Jacket. But you can kind of hear.
They usually have really beautiful artwork, and it's not made of steel, but it is made of a metal of some kind.
The designs are always very cool with them. That's
why
they
usually hire great artists to make exclusive artwork. So anytime a movie is available in steelbook, I grab it, and Best Buy is a great place for that. But you sent me the Lighthouse one, and I didn't buy it, and I was going to buy it today, and it sold out. So
of course,
I sent Pat one for a release that's coming for Haunt.
Yep.
From Ronin Flicks, which I wasn't familiar with.
I ordered the limited edition set, which has like the soundtrack. It has like posters. I'm really excited to get that because I wasn't sure if that movie would ever come out on physical media since Shudder had it as an exclusive for a while. But I'm super, super glad. Yeah, the Evil Dead one that came with both Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 that just came out is a great steelbook. And I agree, Brandy. I've told PJ that I think he would be incredible at designing physical media and steelbooks, both curating the content and helping design the artwork.
That's my dream, to be honest, at this point. I think it'd be amazing because you know how much I love this stuff. Obviously, physical media means something to me. And so that's why I do the weird random things like with the Friday box set. But it turned out everyone was like, hey, that Friday box set looks even better. Like the art popped better in those cases. So it's like I know.
What about you, Chris? What have you been playing or watching or doing this week other than editing and more editing and more editing and
more editing?
Yeah.
Very few things besides that. I've been playing Mario Odyssey. I've been kind of actually just testing a lot of stuff for the future actually of the channel and stuff, and my separate Twitch and stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on that I'm working with.
You mentioned Twitch, and I didn't mention this before because I didn't have the thumbnail, but Tuesday, exclusively on the PJCN Twitch, it will not be on YouTube or Facebook. We will be doing Pokemon Adventure randomized. It's going to be really fun. Me, Elizabeth, my wife, Chris,
eating salad also, yes.
Jill and Sully and Kristen Smith. It's going to be really fun.
Oh, yeah.
Fire Red and Leaf Green. Those were Game Boy Color or Advance?
Game Boy Advance, yeah.
Game Boy Advance. So we'll be playing it randomized. We'll be helping each other out with the adventure. It's going to be so much fun. I'm really excited. I haven't played those games in a long time.
Yeah, it's completely randomized, too. So it's just going to be fun. It's a test. I'm seeing how everything goes because it's something even... Yeah, thank you for the acid trip compliment. That's great. Acid trip. Thank you for the acid compliment. That was great. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. And if that all goes well, there's something else that hopefully we're gonna be doing soon too. So it's all just me. I'm just busy doing my stuff and doing myself. I haven't been able to watch a lot of stuff. I have been playing like games and stuff, but it's nothing huge. So
The stuff that you do, Chris, is at such a high level that we don't deserve you, honestly.
it's good to do a show like this where I could just lax. And yeah, Box 2 is up too, so make sure to watch that.
Box 2.
The editing on this, once again, my friend,
Yeah,
is remarkable.
He makes us look good.
Bust a nut and check it out, y'all.
Yep,
Bust a nut.
bust a nut. How about you, Tim? What's your pop culture week been like? Watching, reading, playing, whatever?
A few things. So I've just been watching lots of scary stuff. So two things. I've been watching the Nightmare on Elm Street series because my favorite podcast with Gorley and Rust are covering the Nightmare on Elm Street movies this season, and it's fantastic. The first 3 episodes / 4 episodes are up if you're a Patreon, which I am, a Patreon subscriber, which I am. But if you haven't heard of that podcast, it's great. They did 2 seasons the previous Halloweens. They did Friday the 13th, which is called In Voorhees We Trust with Gorley and Rust. And then they did Halloween the season after that, which was In Myers We Trust with Gyers and Rust. But now they've launched their whole new thing, and they're going to be doing regular podcasts under the With Gorley and Rust brand. But if you're not familiar with them, Paul Rust is an actor / comedian. And Matt Gorley, of course, is James Bonding, and he's also the producer of Conan O'Brien's podcast, and he's all around great guy.
Was on that Netflix show with Gillian Jacobs, right?
Yeah.
And it's so excellent. Tim put me onto this podcast, and I've been listening to it a lot too. Again, because I've been doing my Friday rabbit hole again.
Tried to put him onto it 2 years ago when it came out.
It's true, and now I'm finally doing it. But I just gotta say, it's fucking awesome. If you haven't listened to it, I learned so much about these movies that I didn't ever think I would know.
But let me just say this: if you don't like podcasts where they talk about an hour and 30-minute movie for 3 hours, you're not going to like the podcast. But I love it.
I do too.
I sort of feel like anyone who watches our network doesn't mind people talking about movies for 3 or 4 hours longer than the movies themselves are.
That's true.
But, so there's
just a guess.
There's that, and then so I wasn't on the most recent watch along on Friday because I'm a big fan of Joe Bob Briggs and what he does on Shudder with the Last Drive-In, and they had a Halloween special this week for Halloween called Joe Bob's Hideaway, and they showed Haunt, which was nice because I missed the watch along for that, and I've seen it before, but it was nice to watch it again. And then they did a movie called Hack-O-Lantern, which was bad, but in a lot of good ways. So that's the movie watching. On a beer front, I'm a big beer fan. I'm super excited because my favorite beer shop here in town has brought in some really great stuff. So I'm excited about it. One of my favorite breweries from Orange County they brought in. So I'm drinking that right now. And then I went and picked up a glass that my friend got me from my favorite brewery I collect. They do these Campy Creatures beers, which are like based off of classic monsters. So this is the Blob one that came out recently.
So
very cool.
This is the glass for it, which is awesome.
When I moved down here, Tim gave me one of those, and I have a really cool King Kong one.
I have another one, so I had 3 of those. So I'm going to give the other one to Chris whenever I do see Chris in person.
Oh,
so I know Chris is the Kong person. So
Kong.
I have another extra one, so I got to give it to Chris.
Oh.
Chris is a queen for King Kong.
Yeah,
I'm a queen.
So that's that with that, and that's all she wrote. Yeah.
So I watched Sofia Coppola's new film On the Rocks. I'm obviously a huge fan of Sofia Coppola. If you watched our favorite movie show, you know that Lost in Translation is my second favorite film of all time. I've also pretty much liked everything else she's done: The Virgin Suicides, Marie Antoinette, The Beguiled, Somewhere, etc., etc. I would say On the Rocks is a lesser entry in her oeuvre, but was still thoroughly entertaining. It's a really complex and well-done father-daughter story with some other stuff, but to me it was the father-daughter relationship that really made the film work, and Bill Murray and Rashida Jones are fantastic. I think Sofia Coppola brings out the best in Bill Murray, and in this movie he gets to sort of toe the line between some of the more dramatic stuff he did in Lost in Translation and some of his sillier humor, because he's playing sort of this over-the-top character, like this sort of like New York Lothario who knows all the doormen at the fancy restaurants and drives like an Alfa Romeo convertible around town. And he's just delightful, and I think should be and probably will end up being in the conversation for supporting actor awards towards the end of the year. But I was also super impressed with Rashida Jones. I've always liked her in movies, but I thought her the best roles she had gotten were on TV, like Parks and Rec and stuff. And I think this might be her best film role, the most she's had to work with. And then also interesting is Marlon Wayans is in the film playing a very like dramatic, straight character. He's not doing silliness or funny at all. He plays Rashida Jones' husband, and he's also super, super good. And they have really good chemistry. So it's an Apple TV exclusive. We have Apple TV because we got it for free. I probably wouldn't have paid for it otherwise. This is the first thing that I personally ever watched on Apple TV. Liz watched a bunch of their shows, but it took Sofia Coppola to get me to be like, yep, I'll watch Apple TV.
I keep forgetting they have that Tom Hanks movie on there still.
Yeah,
too, to your point.
I meant to watch it when it came out, and I didn't, and then it's like a couple months later. I'll probably check it out at some point. I've heard it's pretty good. I mean, I'll watch anything with Tom Hanks. But yeah, if you're a Bill Murray fan or a Sofia Coppola fan, I do recommend On the Rocks. It's quite good. And then I also watched The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which I absolutely loved. It came out on VOD a couple weeks ago. It's written, directed by, and starring Jim Cummings, not the voice actor Jim Cummings who plays Pooh and all those other characters. This other guy who also wrote, starred, and directed a film called Thunder Road, which won awards at South by Southwest, Sundance, and the Independent Spirit Awards back in 2018.
Is that about Bruce Springsteen?
No.
Oh. I was wondering because it sounded like.
And what's interesting is the character he plays and the themes he explores are kind of similar. In both movies, he plays a cop who's dealing with family issues, with alcohol issues, with anger issues. But The Wolf of Snow Hollow is also a werewolf horror movie. It's also a super idiosyncratic dark comedy. It has Robert Forster's final film role. He passed away just a few weeks after finishing filming, and I was sort of knocked out. It's so much stranger and weirder than I expected. It's like operating on its own wavelength, which I appreciated, like the editing, the pacing, the acerbic humor. It was not what I was expecting at all in the most delightful way. I absolutely loved it. So check that out. You can rent it or buy it on iTunes, Amazon, Vudu, wherever you get VOD stuff.
I really can't wait to watch this. When you were texting me about it last night, I was already planning on watching it. Like, it's been on my radar for a while. Obviously, big Robert Forster fan. It was his last movie. It's a werewolf film. Everything I'd heard was good. So I haven't seen it just yet, but your ringing endorsement made me want to run out even faster to watch.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm probably going to watch it again. It also has a great score. And I love any film that successfully uses snowy visuals.
Yeah.
In fact, the film I would most compare it to in terms of tone is Fargo.
Ooh.
So imagine if Fargo had a werewolf running around.
Okay.
It's kind of the best way I can describe it. And it's less than 90 minutes. It's super tight and effective. I'm gonna be ringing the bell for this movie for the next couple months. But it's been doing really well on VOD. It's been top of the charts. So there's another movie we've all watched that we're waiting to talk about. Hey, Malcolm, what's up, buddy? So look, if you haven't seen this, we're probably going to get a little bit into spoilers. I'm just warning you now.
Real quick, I was just going to say Reefism. I see your comment question in here, and we'll get to it as soon as we talk about this movie.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's cool. When you worked on a Robert Forster film, he gave you a personalized Robert Forster mail opener.
That's awesome.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's funny. When I think of Robert Forster, my mind always went to Jackie Brown.
Sure.
But now I always am. He's the Breaking Bad guy now.
Sure.
Vacuum Man.
Especially when he popped up again in El Camino, and I thought he was so great in that and had such a substantial role.
And that came out the day he passed away. Which
I know, that was eerie.
Yeah.
I remember reading the news and then watching the film, and he's so good in that. But he's an incredible actor.
It's funny because I had the exact opposite. I had watched it and then looked at my phone and had in the news. It was just so bizarre to be like, what just happened?
Yeah, when he did Jackie Brown, Tarantino basically did for him the same thing he did with John Travolta. He revitalized his career. He got him an Oscar nomination. Really just great stuff, and he's sorely missed. But the movie we're going to talk about now, we're going to get into a little bit of spoiler territory. So if you haven't seen it, you might want to tune out. But I would also argue that it's not a film that would be ruined by spoilers, and that is Borat's subsequent movie film, aka Borat II, aka it has like 5 different subtitles
because it changes throughout the movie.
Yeah.
AKA very nice.
Yeah, Jamash. The only problem with Borat 2 coming out now, and the fact that I liked it so much more than I expected, is it's 2006 again, and all I want to do is speak in a Borat voice. Someone earlier texted me a sentence that ended with "my life," and all I can hear is "my life" instead of "my wife." So it's just like it's. But
so
I don't even know where to begin with this movie.
I can start.
Yeah,
if
please.
you want me to, because I was the one person on the panel who I've always said I didn't love the original Borat. Like it never connected with me in the way that I saw everyone else connecting to it. So to say I was skeptical about watching this is kind of an understatement. Like I had told Maxwell, I was like, I have zero interest. Like I thought the trailer was all right, but like I couldn't bring myself to get excited. But the other night it came out. Literally, like they put it out early because of the debate, and they were trying to, springboard off the fact that it actually did come up about some of the stuff with Giuliani and things like that. And so put it on the movie, and I laughed way more than I anticipated, but I also wanted to cry because it's so frustratingly eye-opening to the state of parts of our country that just cannot continue to go the way that they do. And yet, at the same time, it's like, God, Sasha's just a genius in showing us what's happening around us. And he did it all while this was kind of happening, which is even crazier.
I liked the first movie, I think, more than you did. But it was also something that felt like lightning in a bottle, and lightning doesn't often strike twice. And with Sasha, like, I didn't like Bruno.
No.
I didn't like The Dictator. So when he tried to do films in a similar vein as Borat, I thought they were a series of diminishing returns. I think he's a fantastic actor. I love him in Hugo. I thought he was great in Sweeney Todd. I think he's absolutely sensational in the just released Trial of the Chicago 7. If he were to get an Oscar nomination for that, for supporting actor, I would be thrilled. But with Borat 2, somehow he was able to make lightning strike twice in a way that's actually quite different than the first film. So obviously, satire, being a satire of whatever the political situation in America is very heavily on its forefront. When the first film came out, it was filmed in the thick of the Bush administration, and this came out in the thick of the Trump administration. And there are plenty of jokes at Trump and Michael Pence's expense. There's plenty of time spent with Republicans. There's these 2 guys in particular who Sasha actually lived with in character for 5 days filming, which is kind of mind-blowing. But what amazes me most about what they did with Borat 2 is how so they were secretly filming this movie, and then COVID hit the world, and the world changed like that, right? Everything shut down, and it was one of the most surreal things. And somehow they managed to pivot, use the footage they had already filmed, alter the course of the film in a way that I would argue somehow ended up being stronger what they probably had planned.
Yep.
And finish it with a twist ending, which we're not going to reveal here. That spoiler we will not get into. Right. That was breathtaking in its hilarity and audacity. Yeah. And there's a cameo that ties into it that I'm also not going to reveal. That is so fucking brilliant. And I think that cameo is what ties it all together.
Yeah.
Like, it's the rug that ties the room together and makes it work. That is stunning. But the other amazing thing about the film...
Avoid looking at the cast scene if you want to avoid that.
Yeah, don't look at the cast list.
Because that person is in the cast list.
Yeah. But the other incredible thing about this movie is this actress who No one knows Maria Bakalova,
Yeah.
who plays his daughter. She is
Remarkable.
so amazing. And because of her character and some of the people that they interact with, this movie, in its own way, becomes a very empowering feminist manifesto. So it worked on so many levels that I wasn't anticipating.
Yeah.
It was cringy and uncomfortable, but it was also sweet and eye-opening. I don't know how they did it. I can't even fathom how they pulled this off.
It's hilarious, and it's like a perfect satire because it's funny, but it's also poking fun and criticizing, the world that we live in here in the U.S.
And I was reminded by some of the pranking or antics or whatever you want to call it he did in this film, why I used to think, and now I'm reminded why I think Sacha Baron Cohen is sort of the Andy Kaufman of our time, but with a more politically handed mind. Because even in the first film, all of this horrific stuff the character Borat saying is like in the first film and in this film, but they twist it on his head. Like the character is wildly anti-Semitic, which is of course okay because Sacha Baron Cohen is very, very Jewish.
Yeah,
and he's using it as a way to illuminate to other people why anti-Semitism is wrong. And I think this film does that even better than the first film. There's a scene where he's talking to these two elderly Jewish ladies that is so lovely and also so horrifying.
Yeah,
because of some of the stuff he does and wears and says.
And that lady was a Holocaust survivor.
Yes,
and I know her family. I know her family was upset about the film, but he came out and said to clarify that she was in on everything, so she knew it wasn't like serious. Like she knew it was a bit.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like some of the people were in on it a little bit, some weren't. Ultimately, I don't think it matters because the effect is the same. But the other thing is, so this movie is directed by a different guy than the first film. This is directed by Jason Woliner, who has done sketch comedy and a lot of TV directing. And there's one show in particular he directed, Nathan For You, that I think probably prepared him for this perfectly. Because if you've ever seen Nathan For You, it's basically an elaborate sardonic prank show where Nathan is doing bizarre stuff and they're filming the reactions of people. So I think that probably attuned him perfectly to be able to handle this, because I can't imagine this was an easy movie to direct, particularly when halfway through production COVID hit. They had to parse down their crew to as minimal as possible. They were doing rapid testing daily, keeping everything safe.
It's remarkable, and yet they pulled it off in such a brilliant way.
I don't want to be too hyperbolic, but I think it's going to go down as one of the most relevant and on-point works of art that came out of everything that happened with both the Trump administration and COVID. And because I don't think there's much else that film, like there's that documentary that came out that was secretly filming during COVID. I can't remember what it's called.
It's on Hulu right now too. If you have Hulu,
directed by Alex Gibney, right?
Yeah, it's all under control or something like that.
Yeah, totally under control.
Totally under control.
Right, but that and this are like the only two movies that were actively filming real people while COVID was happening in a way that illuminates the differences of.
And I don't want to. I'm not going to get too spoilery, but like the scene at the CPAC, the conference, the Republican.
Yes.
That scene, the way it was edited and the way they shot it with Mike Pence talking about COVID was just like, it was like amazing. And it's completely just kind of like a slap in the face.
It's funny because
it's so damning.
I don't think this is a spoiler, and I apologize to anyone if it is, but I remember back when that conference happening, reading news reports about unknown man in Trump costume start screaming during Pence's speech. Nobody knew who it was, and the fact that was for a secret Borat sequel is crazy to me.
Well, it's
how
so
did
funny
nobody know?
Because
nothing doesn't get put in the trades anymore. Like everything that's secret gets known.
And it was so funny because I didn't remember that story that you're talking about, and I was like, how did I not hear about this? But the one I did remember, also I don't think a spoiler, but I'm sorry if it is the one where he's at the rally.
Yeah.
because I remember they were like they were so sure it was Sacha Baron Cohen, and I thought he might have been filming a sequel to his Showtime show, and I had never assumed it would be anything Borat related.
Well, he's not in.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, from the majority of this movie, he's not Borat. He's a good chunk of the movie. He's playing his other characters because of the fact that he has to disguise himself because
Matt.
The popularity of the movie.
But I think that also allowed him to get into places he wouldn't have if he was in the Borat getup, because people know Borat now.
100%.
Well, and that's why that's
in the movie.
Yeah, I was going to say it's literally addressed within the film itself,
which I thought was really clever. But
yeah.
I think all three of us highly recommend you watch it. I'll probably watch it a second time, even though some of it is super disgusting. There's a scene at a debutante ball that
it's so gross, but it's funny at the same time.
Hilarious.
What's up, Linus?
One of the most successfully both funny and disgusting things I've seen in a long time.
And when the daughter has, I'm not going to say the line, but she has a line when she's talking to this girl, learning about how to be like a sugar baby, how to like get rich older men.
Yes.
And she has a scene involving a beer bottle that.
Oh my God! Yes.
I was dying laughing.
I actually thought of you, Tim, when I watched that, because I was like, I bet Tim's is gonna like this.
Yeah, that scene
was like, that's my type of girl. That's the type of girl for Tim right there.
It is so hysterical. It is so vulgar.
It's so vulgar,
and I love it. I can't recommend it.
Don't watch it with your parents.
No, I can't recommend it enough, though. I think, to Max's point, too, it is going to go down as one of the most relevant films of this time, and it is going to be looked at for that reason. Because
and PJ and I were saying this the other day. If this ends up being the year of Sacha Baron Cohen, I am A-okay with that, because I also watched The Trial of Chicago 7 this week. I think you talked about it last week on the Unwind. And I loved the film. I'm a huge Aaron Sorkin fan. It has a few problems that are like very typical of his work, but they're problems I don't care about because I love his work so much.
Yep, exactly.
But and the film is also, even though it's about historical figures and stuff that actually happened in the 60s, super fucking relevant to today. And Sacha, I think, wanted to be a part of this and play this character who was a notorious character. He wrote a book called Steal This Book.
Yep. And
it's funny, they say it was a bestseller, but no one actually knows how many copies are in publication because people were stealing it. But the fact that he's doing these two films that are radically different in style and tone and genre, but are both very socially and politically minded, I think just shows how strong of a performer and thinker he is. And if this is his year, I'm all for it.
No, totally. And I loved Trial of the Chicago 7. It's currently my #1 film of the year. And it's so funny because I've had people along the lines being like, well, there wasn't that many movies that came out this year. I've seen about 40 new releases still.
I was going to say I've seen almost 50 movies this year.
Yeah. So, I mean, all things being equal, I'm still watching as much as I would every year, maybe a little less, but I'm making my way through. But man, Sacha, 2 weeks in a row gets to kind of own the airwaves between Trial and this. So
also, he did a TV show, I think last year or the year before on Netflix called The Spy, where he plays a Mossad agent, and that show was really good as well. So you want to check out like some good dramatic acting from him. That's another good example. Also, isn't Abby Hoffman the same person from Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Fucking damn.
Yeah. That's 100%.
I've been an admirer of Abby Hoffman's writing and sort of life work for a long time. Obviously he was a very radical leftist. He was also
what?
Oh wow,
Cam! Wow.
He was also a proud and open Jewish man, and so I've always felt a kinship with him.
Dude, that line when he brings up his name is so good. By the way, speaking of
that, when he takes the stand, his whole speech, I thought I was like so affected, so moved, and I was like, okay, this is an Oscar moment right here.
Oh, it's definitely when it gets nominated, that scene is going to definitely be used in the montage.
But everyone in the film is amazing. Mark Rylance is incredible. I thought Yahya Abdul-Mateen II blows the fucking roof off the movie. God. So good.
And Frank Langella too. Dude.
Yeah, I've heard Frank Langella is great too.
I have rarely
in
my life hated a character more than I hated Frank Langella's character in this movie, and that to me is a sign of good acting.
Yeah,
and he played Nixon, for crying out loud.
Right, right, exactly. I almost hated this character more than I hated his Nixon, but it's funny, and I tweeted this because this happens. This film takes place right soon after Nixon took office, and this whole trial never would have happened if that didn't happen. It was like Nixon's administration that decided to indict these guys and put them on trial. And so the fact that Langella has now played Nixon and this judge who is empowered by Nixon's particular proclivities is fascinating.
Yeah.
I want to change course a little bit and talk about a little bit of news that sort of snuck under the radar this week. And that is the heavy rumor that Creed 3 is going to be directed by Michael B. Jordan himself.
I love this, and I'll tell you why. The reason I like this so much is that, as we saw with the Rocky series originally, Stallone used it to cut his teeth to learn how to direct. And I think that this is another sign of that, of Michael B. Jordan and, Stallone together. I think he sees in Jordan the potential to be a great filmmaker, or someone who can lead the charge on doing new things in the same way Stallone felt like he was when he learned it. It's a perfect breeding ground to create talent, because that, to me, again, we saw it with the original, right? The original Creed was basically the movie that went from doing indie films to being the bridge to doing a Marvel film.
Right.
So it all kind of ties together in that way. So I think that this is really special, and I'm excited by the idea of Michael B. Jordan directing it, because it also means he cares about this character and this property so much he wants to do his own crack at telling this story.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by the choice. I love the first Creed. I think it's fantastic. I think Ryan Coogler's direction is out of this world good. I think Michael's performance is great. I didn't like the second one quite as much, although I've only seen it the one time and would not be opposed to watching it a second time. But I remember thinking it lacked a little bit of the verve and energy that I thought Coogler brought to the first one. But in every interview I've read or heard, in every film I've seen him in, I feel like Michael B. Jordan is a man of such passion and intelligence and dedication that I know he's going to give it his all.
Totally.
And he's worked with so many great filmmakers, and I'm sure Coogler is going to sort of mentor him and help him out. And I'm sure Coogler will probably be a producer on it. So
because he was a producer,
and it makes sense. Yeah,
he's done some producing work, right? Like, didn't he produce Just Mercy and maybe something else?
And he's producing. I mean, this also was big news this week. Is he's also producing the Static Shock movie that they're doing over at Warner Brothers in DC. So,
which made me wonder if I think PJ froze.
He's really dipping his feet into doing more. Sorry, I froze and came back, I think, mid you talking.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited because it means that he's jumping in and putting his feet into telling stories.
Yeah, and I'm curious with Static Shock if he's wants to play the role or he wants to handpick who plays it. There's a lot of interesting options there, but I think it's a great choice, and it makes sense in this series because Stallone directed majority of the Rocky films, so it just feels like a even more of a passing of the baton than the Creed films already did feel like. What do you think, Chris, about Michael B. Jordan directing Creed 3?
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, this is like the third spinoff from the Rocky series, and I've seen the first one. I never saw the second one, but I did see all 4 Rockies, and I saw Creed 1, and I thought it was phenomenal.
There's 6 Rockies.
There's 6 Rockies. I knew that. I mean,
it's okay if you skip 5.
But I was also going to say he could say he saw 4, the 4 that Stallone directed. So 2, 3, 4, and 6.
You can find all of Chris Clark's thoughts on all 4 Rocky films exclusively on Salad.
Yeah. So I just don't have a lot to add to that. I'm just ignorant of a lot of it. But really, I've always wanted to see Creed 2, and I think Michael B. Jordan's amazing, and I just wish him luck on Creed 3. That'd be cool. So. Just sounds cool.
I also haven't seen Creed 2, but I love Creed 1, and I figure, why not have him step into the directing shoes and see it. I mean, this is the opportunity for him to do it, and, if anything, we either get, if he's not that great, then that's what happens, but who knows, he might end up being the next best, best thing in terms of that way of working with film.
We've seen time and time again that there's a lot of actors who become really talented directors.
Yeah,
because I can think of no better way to learn than to being on set with great directors.
Yep.
No, totally. And I
If
think
you have
that,
an interest in it, you just watch them and take it all in. And if you have good directors, the relationship that can form between an actor and a director that I think clearly exists between Michael and Ryan Coogler, who work together time and time again, is one of collaboration.
Mhm.
So you're influencing each other.
similarly, like you think about to people like David Fincher, who worked with George Lucas, Joe Johnston, who worked with George Lucas. So many of these guys came from watching great directors like you're talking about and became even better at what they do. Like, I can't think of a better place to do all of that, especially on a film like this, one where you really get to push how you're going to get dramatic character work and stuff done. I think it's the perfect place to cut your teeth as a director.
Yeah, and like
Also,
Cam says, surround yourself with a great crew, get a good DP, assistant director. And I agree with Kale that absolutely Ludwig Göransson has to come back, although he's probably a little bit more expensive now that he's won an Emmy and an Oscar.
Also, he was like he was pretty young when he worked on The Wire, so he's been
Yeah.
around for a while. And plus, that show, had great talent working on it and developing it as well with David Simon and like Tim Van Patten. So he's been around, people that know what they're doing.
Yeah, and
he's been around since he was young. So I think
he was on Parenthood and
he was
Friday.
like 15 or 16 when he was in The Wire. So
Yeah, he was on Friday Night Lights as well, which I always felt was one of the best directed shows on TV. So
yeah, I just think it's all good news all around. And I mean, It's interesting because as it is, I didn't think we were going to necessarily get another Creed. I mean, I know WB probably wanted one because those movies make quite a bit of money, but Creed 2 also ended in such a place where it kind of felt like you didn't need to keep going, which I think is natural since Stallone is not coming back for the next one. So in a way, it was like closing the door, but he's also going off to do another spinoff film about Rocky training someone else. So I'll be curious to see where this story goes, because I also have no idea where you pick it up and what you do.
Yeah. You've given me a perfect segue, PJ, because you talked about a whole boatload of money.
Yeah, I did.
And I was curious to read some of the reports this week about some potential offers and or bidding wars that are going on regarding the James Bond film No Time to Die potentially hitting streaming services. So MGM has been in financial troubles for a long time. That's no secret to anyone.
Enough that Apple's circled a few times considering to buy them.
And like any big company, MGM has shareholders to listen to and answer to. So from what I've heard, and I think you would concur, PJ, the MGM shareholders are basically like, it's all well and good that you've pushed No Time to Die now till next year, but we need to make money back because we spent tons of money on it. And remember, No Time to Die was supposed to come out in April.
Yeah. And before that, the November before
so they had already spent a good portion of their marketing money leading up to the release. But the numbers that we're hearing, that MGM was like, okay, Apple, Netflix, you're interested, you have to pay us at least $600 million, is mind-blowing. Like, the Hamilton deal, which was like record-breaking, was $75 million. And then I know the Trial of the Chicago 7 deal was like $100 and some odd million.
And I think Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh no, Beverly Hills Cop was
Coming to America.
Yes.
2.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I was going Eddie Murphy to Eddie Murphy, and
yes,
had to get there. But yeah, Coming to America 2 was like 115 million or something like that.
Right, and okay, that's a lot of money, but you're buying the distribution rights for a property that's probably going to get you a lot of subscribers and views. Okay, $600 million. That would be the largest distribution deal in history.
That's a box office.
A significant margin. Yeah. I mean, both of the last two Bond movies made $1 billion worldwide, which is probably why they could argue that it's worth that amount. But I don't think they're going to get it.
I think that Apple will buy MGM outright before they pay $600 million just for the movie.
That could be part of the deal. Be like, okay, we'll take, because I would say Apple more than Netflix needs a property like this to get more subscribers to their service,
and that's why they want that brand, because MGM has some really good IP. Like I was talking about it earlier in the week with a couple people. And like, think about it. There's RoboCop that they own. So now you can do a RoboCop TV series on your Apple, platform, or more movies. You've got Bill and Ted, which is now very relevant again because Orion is part of MGM. You have Child's Play, not necessarily Chucky, but you have Child's Play as a brand because Chucky as a brand is owned by Universal because it's very confusing. But there's a lot of different directions you can go. Stargate, bring back Stargate.
I would love that. Wait, you said Orion is part of MGM?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting, because The Wolf of Snow Hollow was the first film I had seen in a while with the Orion logo at the start of it.
Yeah, because it was the James Gunn film, The Belko Experiment, the one he produced, was the first Orion film back when MGM had bought them as a subsidiary.
Is Apple Plus available in other countries?
Right now, I want to say yes. I don't know.
Because the interesting thing with, let's say Apple buys the film.
Oh, right now it's apparently only US streams.
Okay, so let's say Apple buys the film or they buy MGM. Because of the market they have with iTunes, they can make it available in the US on Apple Plus to entice subscribers and then sell it on iTunes as well. They would have 2 immediate revenue streams for that film.
Yep.
I would think the subscribers would be number one because from what I hear, their subscriber base is not great. It's mostly people who got it like it's a free year with the new phone or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Although they had a good showing at the Emmys. I mean, the morning show won a couple Emmys, so they legitimized themselves as a content creator very quickly.
Yep. No, totally.
I feel like whoever were to take this deal, if this deal were to go, I feel like you have to add something to it. Like, we'll pay $600 million for the rights to have Bond on streaming, but
is it Bond or just the movie?
We want the rights to We want the rights to the next 2 Bond films.
Right.
To have exclusive streaming rights to those when they release on our platforms. Because it's basically just the studio outright trying to get something out of it. So they're trying to get the budget plus what they, can estimate as maybe a box office for it. Get that up front, but then for the streaming service, I think they have to I would feel like you would have to negotiate some kind of terms to where you had some type of exclusion rights to future streaming rights for future films in the franchise.
Well, and
that way you either keep subscribers or you're going to get those subscribers back when the next James Bond film is released.
And there's also the idea of trying to get the back catalog too, and making it a home specifically.
Does MGM own the entire back catalog to Bond? All 22 films?
Yep.
And
maybe 600 million worth it for all of those films along with.
Well, and some people would say 600 million is not enough because Spectre and Skyfall made so much money. But remember, that 600 million is going directly to MGM's pocket. They're not having to split it with movie theaters.
And the other thing,
you're coming off a disappointing film in terms of Spectre, in terms of fans and critics.
Yeah, I like it a little more than I think you guys do, but it still doesn't have the best reputation.
The whole brother thing.
The other thing too that we have to remember is that the longer this gets put off, the less this movie starts being worth too. So I think that's part of the reason that the MGM shareholders are pushing so hard, because you've already put so much into the marketing. You've already done all this. So this is now becoming a law of diminishing returns, because literally they put the movie trailer out to be like, hey, we are officially coming out in November, only to push it back again to April.
This isn't a bad idea. Once theaters reopen, they could do an exclusive IMAX release.
Yeah, and they totally could.
And both Kale and Star Drew point out they don't own Never Say Never, but that's not a real James Bond movie.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even made by Eon.
It's better than
Thunderball. It is a good James Bond movie. It's better than Thunderball.
It is, but it's still technically not part of the official canon.
No, it's not.
Totally.
Weird,
but
I
do agree that it is also better than Thunderball, because I'm not the biggest fan of Thunderball.
Thunderball's terrible.
We have a whole show to do about James Bond at some point.
Yeah, we do.
No, we do. But I'm curious because, again, to this point, just think of what what Apple could do with MGM. There's so many possibilities in them doing stuff.
Bill and Ted, they would get Bill and Ted.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Think about doing a show about the daughters. Or a new animated series again, go backwards, because animation's real popular right now. Darkwing Duck is probably going to come back now with DuckTales and stuff. Like they're leaning on old IPs. Even the Rugrats and stuff are coming back.
Even do something with Wizard of Oz. Expand
animation is also cheaper during the pandemic.
Yes.
Right.
God, what was I going to say? I can't remember now. Nope, can't remember.
Also, Poltergeist. So.
Yeah, Poltergeist came up in the chat too, which I thought that's a great observation because there's a lot to do with that too.
I was gonna just say, like, I'm not a financial whiz or guru or anything, but from what I'm aware of, I would say buying all of MGM outright would be a smart choice for Apple.
I agree. That's just where my mind's at because right now, and I've talked about this on past shows, you got to think too, like,
Tim.
Yep, that's true. Right now,
if he spins James Bond on the Wheel of Doom, he is thrilled.
Right now, Paramount and MGM are like the two studios that I see needing to be bought. And Paramount continually kind of puts out theirs.
Paramount breaks my heart because I think the Mission Impossible franchise is arguably the best, most consistent franchise we have.
Sure.
I think those films are spectacular, especially the last couple. The quality is just at a really upper echelon level for that sort of action blockbuster film. But that's all they got.
Yeah.
They have Star Trek.
They can't seem to do anything.
And I would love to see that much talked about Star Trek 4 with Kirk going back in time and meeting his daddy Chris Hemsworth. But
I mean, and I've said it to you before. I think that the Godfather series is like right to do something with as a mini series. Like, there's enough of those books. I think you could get away with doing some sort of long-term serial because I think the Godfather arguably is like the reason to go back to a property if you can and do more with it, with like leaving the original trilogy, which is holy to so many of us, alone, but like finding a new way to tell those stories, but also like lean in on the stuff that we haven't seen in those sequel books and things like that. Even the Sicilian, which was turned into another movie with Christopher Lambert, I believe, in the lead, but they cut all the Godfather stuff out of it because it was a different company that owned it at the time. There's a lot of potential ways to go, but it breaks my heart because I love Paramount and I think they do such good work, but they've just squandered everything they had. Like, Transformers and G.I. Joe should have crossed over forever ago when they had, and now it's going to feel like too little too late because we know they're trying to do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Talking about the financial decisions of content creators, the elephant in the room this week is that after only 7 months
of
existing, Quibi has shut down.
What was on Quibi?
No.
That's the point.
So I think Quibi was a massive miscalculation from people in older generations who misunderstood what young people want to watch. I think they looked at Snapchat and Instagram, and in particular TikTok, and saw teenagers and early 20-somethings watching short-form content vertically on their phone in huge numbers. So Quibi was designed to be episodes of television that were under 11 minutes long, shot vertically, and only watched on your phone. Not until last week could you even watch it on your television. To start with, the reason why they selected that episode length is because it comes under
union rules,
so they could pay their writers nothing, which is fucking shady to begin with. But people like watching TikTok videos and that other sort of content because it's just fun and real. It's just normal people making fun shit in their house. Yeah, some of these TikTok users or whatever have become incredible at editing and putting together videos that require an incredible amount of work.
Yeah, I think people like the idea of just like stumbling upon something too.
Right. But the idea of like, there's a Fugitive TV show with Kiefer Sutherland, right?
What a weird demographic to be like, this generation totally wants a reboot of The Fugitive.
None of the choices made sense to me. And what's baffling is that they were able to raise $1.75 billion from venture capitalists to get it launched, and all of that money is just like burned, and it's just baffling.
Anytime I see any of these streaming services or like these like platforms that aren't backed by like something like major, like Disney, for instance, Disney Plus, that's going to do well. But like Verizon Go 90 was another example. Like when that came out, I was like, this ain't going to last.
Oh yeah.
I'm not even sure I've heard of that.
Like, what's Verizon Go 90?
Like Collider even was partnered with it for a lot of stuff. Yeah, they did like all the Jeremy John stuff was through Verizon Go 90.
Yeah.
Like Spectacular.
But Disney Plus is a great example. I mean, it has original content. Obviously, The Mandalorian, which is coming back next week, or this week on Friday, is the network's big hit show. But the back catalog,
what's
going to keep people coming back.
Yeah.
So I think when these people are launching their new streaming services like Apple TV, I would argue similarly, the reason why people aren't subscribing is because it doesn't have a significant back catalog. Mm-hmm. HBO Max has a nice back catalog, especially because they have the deal with Criterion. Right. Peacock, which I think is experiencing some growing pains, has a great back catalog. They spent an ass ton of money to get Friends, and soon they'll have The Office on there.
Well, and not just that. I mean, I was thinking about it the other day when I was looking at Peacock. Dude, their horror section is actually really great right now. Like, full of things that you can watch. Their back catalog's fantastic. That's why they'll survive. And they were smart. They went for free. Right. You can buy a subscription, but they also knew most of the people using this aren't going to want to pay. So they very smartly had a free option.
Right. I think with Quibi, I heard so they gave 90-day free trials at the beginning, but even with the free trials, it was only ever downloaded by 75,000 people.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a lot of people, but it's not a lot of people for something like this. No. Camchef says Spectrum Originals LA's Finest, which Fox is airing right now because they have a dearth of content because of COVID, but they canceled it after 2 seasons.
And that was like a Jerry Bruckheimer produced TV show because it was
Bad Boys spinoff. Yeah.
Another thing I'll say about these streaming services that are kind of in the wings, of course, it might be difficult to do this, but you really have to open up your availability and make your app or your whatever your content is available on the majority of devices that people are going to potentially be using. Because I know that's a big reason why I don't use some things is because if I can't get it on PS4, Xbox, or Amazon TV, Amazon Fire Stick, then I'm not gonna download it. I don't want to watch it on my computer. It's you need to try to really get these things out there to cover all the bases of people to watch things. Because I know Quibi, I don't think it was available on very much, honestly. I think it was maybe...
You could watch it on your phone and that's it. Until last week, they made it available on certain TV apps, but then they shut it down. There's one other thing I want to talk about, and that is some of the casting we've been hearing about the Snyder Cut. Mm-hmm. We've obviously spent a lot of time talking about that on this channel. We did a whole episode of the PJ Campbell Show, rest in peace, devoted to it when it was officially announced. But I think it's really interesting that they're now bringing back Jared Leto as the Joker. I believe
Joe
Manganiello is going to come back as Deathstroke. So, okay, let's not get into semantics. I see people online arguing, well, you used to say the Snyder Cut exists. It doesn't exist because he's basically refilming the whole movie. I don't care about that. It is what it is. Those debates are meaningless. The fact is he's getting to film all of this new stuff, and he's bringing back actors. It almost seems like he was actually wanted to make a 2-part movie, and now it's finally getting to do everything he wanted to do. It's not just a couple of color touch-ups and re-editing. He's making a whole new movie.
Yeah, I mean, and that was something I texted you the other day when the Manganiello news broke.
What's up, Mike?
Was literally the first thing I said to you was 2 things are clear. The Snyder Cut was never it was probably done in that version, right? But now because he's being backed and getting all this money to do this and turn it into a TV series, he gets to film all the stuff he was meant to film also for the sequel.
Right.
And that's why the price tag originally was $30 million. Now it's $80 million just to finish this thing.
Well, And I think a big reason why Warner Brothers has been willing to spend so much money on it is what we were just talking about, streaming services. HBO Max has been a disappointment. I think the branding of it is confusing. I think people don't understand the difference between HBO Max and HBO Go. I think people don't understand that it's actually really Warner Brothers' streaming service.
Yep.
But I think there's a lot of people who are going to sign up for it just to see the Snyder Cut.
I agree with you fully, and I'm excited to see a lot of these cast members back. Also, it sounds like Margot Robbie is also coming back as Harley Quinn. The Leto thing, I think, is the most interesting, and it's either going to be, in my opinion, a flashback of him killing Robin, or it's going to be a lot of these characters in the post-apocalyptic future. Maybe we're going to see some more stuff of that.
The fact that Jared Leto is coming back, though, also I think lends credence to the idea that there might be an Ayer cut of Suicide Squad.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
I wouldn't be surprised if he signed like a new deal for those.
Yep.
That's true. HBO Max is not available on Roku or Fire Stick. I thought maybe they came to a deal with Roku. I'm not 100% sure.
There is a way to kind of easily get it on Fire Stick. It's you just have to boot your Fire Stick into allow third-party apps, and then you can access HBO Max no problem. It's not even like a weird thing. It's pretty easy to do if you Google it. It's just they have factory settings on the Fire Stick to where you're not able to access non-approved apps, and you can turn that on or off or whatever.
I just don't understand why these big streaming services that want to get a lot of subscribers don't make themselves available on every possible.
Yeah. Make those deals before you get out there so that you can jump on actually getting subscriptions.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who only use Roku, and if something's not on Roku, they don't do it. Yeah. Same with Fire Stick. If it's not available on Fire Stick, they don't do it.
But I'm glad to see Snyder's getting to finish kind of what we all expected was his film plus more. I'm excited now that it's pretty clearly going to have his sequel idea stuff in it too, which will be really cool. I'm glad that he's getting to finish it the way he sees fit. And who knows what this also could mean? You know what I mean? Like this could, to your point, the Ayer cut I think is very much on the table, if not already actively being worked on. I think that this also lends credence to the idea that HBO Max could potentially do more with Snyder down the line. If this does well, who's to say that they don't do a lot more stuff between both versions of these Elseworlds? You never know. I mean, that matters.
I mean, and DC has already introduced the multiverse in Crisis on Infinite Earths. I mean, we saw Ezra Miller's Flash there. So, and the casting we're hearing for the Flash movie with Keaton and Affleck coming, it's like they're clearly going to be playing around with a lot of this stuff. Right. Mike K brings up an interesting point that he brought up on his podcast, Tuned Up. AT&T still has a lot of debt, so they're restructuring the company and scrambling to make decisions that will ensure maximum profits. This is true.
And if they think that more Snyder is maximum profits, they'll keep doing it.
Yep.
Tim or Chris, do you guys have any thoughts on any of this?
I mean, I haven't seen Justice League because I didn't like Batman vs Superman, so I wasn't excited to see Justice League. I've seen Aquaman, loved Aquaman. Wonder Woman's great. I still need to watch the BVS direct, like whatever it's called, the director's cut or
unlimited cut, I think.
Unlimited cut or whatever it's called, because I've heard that improved it for some people. I mean, I'm excited for this movie. I mean, I don't really
Ultimate Edition.
I mean,
Ultimate Edition.
This whole fandom, just like Star Wars, is pretty toxic, so I kind of stay out of it because it's like, who cares? Like you still have Justice League. If that's the movie you want to love, you can still love it. And if you don't love it, then you're getting your version you like. But there's no reason for either side to attack either side. I mean, you know, this isn't the world we live in, so it's going to happen regardless. But that's just my take on it. And I mean, just be happy that we're getting more content, and that's what matters. You know, you can choose to follow whichever you kind of follow. You know,
I'll be honest.
It's just a movie, guys.
Yeah,
chill out and just enjoy it.
You know what people need to do? They need to unwind.
They need to unwind.
Yeah, I just don't get it because I've seen Justice League. I don't know where Joker would fit, and I'm just kind of like, okay, it's great to see Jared Leto back. I'm just sick of Joker. I'm sick of seeing Joker on screen. I'm just sick of him. I just want them to focus on other villains and stuff, and let's see other people. Okay, it's good the Joker's going to appear. I don't know where he's going to appear. I don't know what he has planned. I hope it's just a small flashback and they don't dwell on him too much.
Yeah,
so
I think it'll be a small part.
Good, because it's just. I'm just bored with Joker. It doesn't really. I don't know if that makes sense. It just doesn't excite me to see him. Yeah. So yeah, but I mean, the Snyder Cut's going to be hopefully good. It's going to be nice to see an alternate take on it. I actually do really like Batman vs Superman the extended edition. I felt like that was a really good film. Even the theatrical cut wasn't as bad for me as other people, but again, I always have the DC animated universe to go back to, and that's my definitive DC universe. So, and that fandom is not toxic, so I can always go back to that. So, I mean, it's good that whoever's getting it is getting it, but I'm not too excited for Joker.
Sure. Well,
I'm going to be curious to see if he looks the same as he did in Suicide Squad.
I hope he does, because it was a good visual take in my opinion.
I didn't love all the tattoos.
It could be
I thought they overdid it a little bit. I didn't mind necessarily Leto's take on the character. I sort of got upset at all the behind the scenes stuff about how he took his method stuff too far.
Oh.
I didn't think he was awful, but I thought the tattoos and stuff were a very David Ayer choice. I think.
Yeah.
Without the tattoos, he would look like Joker from The Dark Knight Returns.
It's like David Ayer was trying to make like an LA cop movie, but he couldn't make an LA cop movie, so he's like, I'm just going to throw in Jared Leto and make him look like a South Central gangster, basically.
My headcanon is that's Jason. That's not Joker. It's the Robin that he killed. But yeah.
Interesting.
I want to go back now a bit because we started talking about everything, and Reefism had asked us a question earlier.
Oh, yes.
I said that we'd go back to it, so I wanted to make sure we did. But what is everybody's biggest casting what-ifs in a movie or TV series? Some of mine are Eddie Murphy playing Eddie Valiant and Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and Will Smith playing Neo in The Matrix. So I don't know about you guys, but if you have any off the top of your head that you would have always been curious about.
I have a couple that aren't specifically they're like guaranteed what ifs, but they're kind of things like a franchise, and they're both involving one particular franchise, and that could have gone a certain direction, and that's the James Bond franchise. So there's two of them. The first one I'm going to talk about had Sean Connery kept going and been in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I love On Her Majesty's Secret Service, but I do think that George Lazenby is not a good James Bond at all. I mean, the guy, it's no fault to him. He's not an actor. He was literally a model, and he was in
he lied to get in.
He was in a commercial, and they were like, "Oh, he was great in that commercial," and so they put him in, and he doesn't even talk. I mean, he's ADR the entire movie, which is common for a James Bond movie. They use lots of ADR, but I think that movie has a really great reputation now, and I think it's a great movie. But I think having Sean Connery return for the role
might have been the best. It might have been the best.
I think the movie would have done better at the time too. I think that was a big thing. People were like, "Who's this guy as James Bond?" You know, it doesn't really. This is what we wanted or what we expected.
The story itself.
So I think seeing that movie with Sean Connery in that role would be interesting. And then the other one involving James Bond is, even though I like Timothy Dalton a lot, it would have been interesting to see Pierce Brosnan actually become Bond when he was supposed to become Bond, which was in The Living Daylights.
But Remington still got in the way.
Huh?
Remington still got in the way.
Yeah, so Remington Steele was canceled, but then I think they got wind that he was potentially up for James Bond. Well, it wasn't canceled, but they weren't locked in on like another season, and they got wind that he was going to be James Bond, and so they quickly like re-upped him and stole him back and kept him from becoming James Bond. Now I do like Timothy Dalton a lot, but I do think it would be interesting to see like Pierce Brosnan get that role a little earlier, a little younger, to see how he would do. So those are my two. They're James Bond related. If I come up with any more, I'll throw some out there. But
it's so surprising to me that you have stuff to say about James Bond.
I would have liked to see, like, I know that the movie Pocahontas is very controversial nowadays, but I feel like it might have been because originally it was written as more of like a Disney. Because I don't know if you guys knew this, but John Candy was supposed to play a talking turkey in the film. Yeah, so that would have been interesting. Also, there was something that it was something I don't remember the title of it, But I've always curious what would have happened if Chris Farley never died, and we had future.
Well, he had already started working on Shrek a little
Yeah,
bit.
he started working on Shrek and turned into the Scottish Mike Myers.
Yeah.
But they didn't they like record 90% of that film or whatever, and they had to
I don't know.
re-record
I don't
it?
know how much. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
but I've always just the people that we lose tragically, like Philip Seymour Hoffman. Imagine what he could have done.
John
Yeah.
Candy too. You mentioned.
Yeah.
It's just John Candy passed away from a heart attack, but Farley and Philip died because of their addictions.
Right.
I'm just it's just we lose so much good art because of bad decisions.
I have a couple. A more recent one is I know that Tom Cruise was in talks to do the Brad Pitt role in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And although I thought Brad was perfect and very deserving of his Oscar, and that the idea of Tom Cruise working with Tarantino was exciting, and I would like to see that happen. Another one I always think about, because it sort of seemed out of left field until his career took a bit of a turn, is before Chris Evans was cast as Captain America, it was going to be John Krasinski. And he does have that sort of all-American boyish charm. He's proven in movies like 13th Hour and the Jack Ryan show that he can do action. So I thought that could have been interesting. And who knows, what would have happened with his career. We probably never would have gotten A Quiet Place.
No.
So.
And go for it.
Oh, I was going to say a couple for me. One that is always so interesting. I would have loved to see what it would have been was the Indiana Jones casting, the original casting when you had Tom Selleck. Instead of Ford, but then Magnum PI got in the way and contracts prevailed and he did Magnum PI instead. So Ford got the role. But then similarly, Harrison Ford was originally supposed to be Alan Grant in Jurassic Park. And that would have been very interesting as well. But I'm almost glad that didn't happen because the casting of Alan Grant is so perfect in the end, but you can definitely see it was written for him.
I'm surprised you didn't also bring up Back to the Future and the
I know,
original.
I don't want that one, to be honest, because it's my favorite film of all time, and I don't want to think about what could have been.
Could have been, though. It's a different timeline. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
And John Belushi originally played Bill Murray's character in Ghostbusters, but he passed away. I didn't know that. I've just seen it now. Yeah.
Speaking of Alan Grant, Sam Neill was also in the running to be James Bond in The Living Daylights.
This is true.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
There's so many. I remember before Daniel Day-Lewis took the role, Liam Neeson was almost going to play Lincoln.
Oh, yeah, for Lincoln.
That would have been interesting. I mean, I think Daniel Day-Lewis's performance in that is exquisite, but would have been interesting to see if that, because Liam Neeson predominantly the last decade has done B action movies, which is not necessarily the career I expected from the Schindler's List guy. But it would have been interesting to see if doing Lincoln would have shifted his career into going back to more of the drama. And he still does some dramatic stuff, but.
And I would be amiss to also say this, that sadly, before they started recording Toy Story 4, Don Rickles passed away. I would be interested to see what Toy Story 4 would have been if we got more of Don in there. That might have been cool, too.
Mike says, I don't have an actor, what if, but a director, what if Guillermo del Toro's In the Mouth of Madness, as well as Del Toro during The Hobbit, and
I think what he means is Del Toro's At the Mountains of Madness, which is something I was really wanting, but no one's going to give him the money he wants to make that movie, unfortunately. And you could hope with like things like Color Out of Space doing well, but they just don't get wide enough releases. But if you ever get like a Lovecraft property to make like good money, then you might be able to like get the studio backing for it. But unfortunately,
that's why they had Tom Cruise.
You're not gonna do that. But At the Mountains of Madness is that's the big one that if you're a Lovecraft head, you've been wanting for a long time. And to see Del Toro's take on that, because obviously, he knows something about giant monsters, as we can see in Pacific Rim. So, it'd be great.
And sadly, he passed away a couple years after this film, but I don't know if you guys knew about this. At the beginning of Batman Returns, it wasn't originally Pee Wee Herman who was supposed to be Penguin's dad. That was supposed to be Burgess Meredith. And Byrne asked him, he was willing, and then Burgess got sick and never recovered, sadly. So that would have been cool too.
I do like
the Pee Wee Herman thing. I do like
the way it is now though, because it's Pee Wee and Simone.
Yeah,
so
it is. But it would have been awesome to have Burgess there.
So.
Yeah.
Another one, we brought up Will Smith. He has sort of has a history of making bad decisions. Is he was like this close and ended up not doing Django Unchained.
Oh yeah, he had creative differences with Tarantino and decided to leave the project.
Which to me means he wasn't willing to go as sort of dark and into it as the film does.
Yeah, which is too bad because my God, could you, don't get me wrong, Jamie Foxx obviously excellent.
It's great, yeah.
But could you imagine what it would have been like with Will Smith? It would have been very.
I like Will Smith a lot. I think his career the last decade has been in a rut.
Yeah.
I like Bad Boys 3 a lot, but he hasn't really done anything that exciting or interesting other than sequels. Had he done that, I think his career could have been revitalized. Not that he needs revitalization because these movies still make money, but creative, be revitalized.
Yeah. What was the catalyst for this conversation? What was the example?
Reeve hasn't asked the question.
He mentioned Will Smith in The Matrix. Reefism says Raul Julia in Desperados.
Oh.
Yeah. Another one that came up, Eddie Murphy being in Ghostbusters, Sly Stallone in Beverly Hills Cop, which would have been a very different movie.
Yeah.
Which was a heavily contested, with all due respect, Schmoedown question.
And there was also going to be a sequel to Twins with Eddie Murphy called Triplets with Eddie Murphy, Danny DeVito, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. That would have been hilarious.
Well, they keep saying that might happen.
Yeah, I think that's still
might happen. Okay, I always thought it was.
I think that's still in the conversation, but
okay,
ever will.
That's still hilarious.
Gemini Man. I like Gemini Man, Kale. I think it's like one of the ultimate dad movies. Last year had two dad movies, if
Ford
you will.
versus Ferrari?
Yeah, Ford versus Ferrari and Gemini Man. Like, they are so dad type films.
I think Ford versus Ferrari is great.
No, I do too. I'm not
dad. I'm a dog dad, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what I mean. Like, there's always those movies that you can guarantee that if it's on TNT or something, the dad will stop and watch. Those movies fit that bill completely.
Yeah, I haven't seen Gemini Man yet, actually. I'd like to. I think it's on Hulu.
If not, I have it on Movies Anywhere, and you can borrow my login.
I don't do that. NSA, who's watching and listening.
But
Brian Nussbaum mentions Tom Cruise as Iron Man. That's a great one.
What?
Also, Nick Cage at one point, too. Yeah.
There's that photo of him in the suit.
How do you think Edward Norton would have handled Hulk if he stayed on? Do you think it would have been good?
It would have been different, I think. Okay. And I don't know if different
is
good.
I don't think he'd be as likable as Mark Ruffalo is.
I thought Norton was an interesting choice for Hulk because Norton always has this ragey energy under him. Like even when he's playing nice guys, you feel like he could snap at any second.
And obviously the obvious one. Oh, sorry.
I was just say which makes sense for Hulk, but Ruffalo's Bruce Banner is so much more charming and funny, and I think that take on it probably ultimately ended up working better for the ensemble. Like I couldn't picture Norton and Downey Jr. signs growing out.
Right. In the similar regard of when they changed roadies too. Like I can't imagine seeing the stuff that Cheadle does being done by Howard. You know what I mean? Like they're very different actors, and I don't know if they could play well with others.
They probably wrote it for the actor itself.
Yeah.
Also, look at Dumbledore. Do you think Richard Harris would have done Dumbledore?
Mike, I don't worry. I don't actually believe it is dad movies, but that was why I was joking about it.
He also wasn't using it as a pejorative.
Yeah, I was just trying to make a fun joke.
But I do agree. I particularly dislike chick flick.
Yeah, I do too.
Because I don't think any film or anything in life should be gender binary because gender is not binary. It's not.
Some people like Barbie and the Enchanted Chestnut too.
I mean, I agree with Kale also. He says, I also think Whedon wanted Ruffalo, and I agree. I also think Downey Jr. wanted Ruffalo. I mean, it's so interesting to me, but it feels like a lot of the actors, especially the Ruffalo one, came from Downey Jr. wanting to work with his friend again because they worked together on Zodiac, similar to Gyllenhaal showing up. Like, I think there's a camaraderie between a lot of these guys that work with Downey Jr. and some of the other people in these movies, and they kind of bring other movies to work together, and I think that's exactly where that came from, because
Yeah.
you knew that's the relationship you were going to get.
Why did they recast Rhodey?
It came
Eric-
down to money.
Yeah.
Money? Oh,
Yeah.
money. Okay.
Marvin Petty in the chat asked a very interesting question. What's a movie that you didn't like during first viewing, but now you love it?
I have a couple.
I have a recent one.
Mine is Iron Man 3. That's one that comes to mind because I didn't like it the first time because I think I was just angry, like a lot of people were, at the whole like misdirection of the Mandarin, because the Mandarin is such an iconic villain for like not only Iron Man but just like the Marvel universe. And I thought the casting of Ben Kingsley was pretty great. And
Iron Man 3 is a good example.
and then the whole reveal. But after watching it, multiple times since then, I really like it a lot. I still would love to have seen a world where Ben Kingsley played the Mandarin potentially, but I do like that movie a lot now, especially in conjunction with like things that happened, in Endgame, especially with like the funeral of Tony Stark and everything, and bringing that kid back.
Yeah, I loved that moment at Endgame, and I remember people were like, "Who is that?" One that comes to mind just because it's so recent is The Lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I saw it at an art house on the Upper East Side. I was the youngest person there by like 40 years, and 2/3 of the theater got up and walked out, and the others were either snorting or making snide comments that I could hear very loudly. So I was just with them. I was like, "Oh, this is not good. I don't like this. This is boring, blah, blah, blah." And then when I watched it the second time, I was like, "Oh, no, shit, this movie is fucking incredible." The cinematography, the performances, the horror in a very unique way. It's such a great film. It's tough. It's a tough film.
Yeah.
It's ones like that normally for me where they're a little more challenging or require more thought to it.
Yeah, I finally watched that movie for the first time at the beginning of quarantine because I missed seeing it theatrically, and I really loved it. But I also was like, it's probably not something I'm going to watch often, maybe like once a year potentially, But it is great. It's really good.
PJ, The Princess Bride's probably a good one for you, right?
The Princess Bride is a huge one for me, just because for so long, like for the last 15 years, I'd legitimately been like, I don't like The Princess Bride. I saw it once, my senior year of high school. I kind of felt like I'd missed the boat. And when I'd hear people talk about it, and I just didn't care. Like, I just didn't get it. And I couldn't figure out why I should care. So I finally rewatched it, 2 months ago? Somewhere in the middle of quarantine.
Past couple months, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle of quarantine, I was like, look, I'm going to rewatch The Princess Bride. I'm going to give it a fair shake. And I ended up falling in love with it in a way that I had never anticipated.
It's a very lovable film.
It is. Mm-hmm. It's totally lovable. I'm not sure why.
It surprised me because I've never heard anybody say they didn't like that film. And
it caught me on a bad day is the best way I can describe it. Man of Steel, I see come up in the chat. That is another one for me that I didn't like it almost at all. I could say that about a lot of Snyder's films, actually. I've found frequently that his movies have been better on rewatches for me.
What about you, Chris?
Yeah,
it's hard because I usually when I go into a film, I that's really what I have in my head. I want to rewatch Tenet because I have a feeling if I rewatched it, I would like it more than I did. But I guess Tim said one is Iron Man 3, but another one that I think everybody overlooks is Avengers Age of Ultron. I went into that film not really liking it when I first saw it because I was comparing it to the first one, but when you rewatch it, it's basically Tower of Babel, the Marvel version of Tower of Babel, and that's phenomenal. But also there was this one's really controversial because I don't know how many people like it's X-Men: The Last Stand. I feel like X-Men: The Last Stand, after watching it over again, I kind of
nope.
Yep. I was waiting for one of us to do it. I can't.
You're literally the title of that movie. You're the last stand. Like you're
you are the one person.
You're the one.
I really like the Juggernaut and everything in that, and it's really funny. I think it's better than the Phoenix Rising movie.
The Juggernaut was done way better in Deadpool too, though.
Yeah.
And also,
Yeah.
rewatching Phantom Menace years ago, I realized I liked it more than Empire Strikes Back. So, but I have a lot of weird opinions, so you probably shouldn't go to me.
I will agree
It's good to have weird opinions.
on Phantom Menace. Not that it's better than Empire, but
It's phenomenal.
with time, I have really come to appreciate that movie a lot
too.
more than I used to.
I feel like
Phantom
that's
Menace
a
is
lot of
fun.
people
It's
from
super
the.
quotable.
I feel
I
like a
agree.
lot of people in hindsight feel like the prequels did a better job of telling an original story. We could get into a whole Star Wars discussion. In
Yeah,
some
that's
other
for
time,
another.
But,
That's for another.
but yeah,
show.
but yeah.
We
I'm
should
basic.
we can do sometime early next year a Star Wars ranking show.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Star Wars
But
Survivor
we
Island.
could not do that without, of course, Sean Sullivan.
We could. Not.
Oh, and I think we'd have to get the Damons. If we could.
Oh yeah, I'd love to have
that-
the Damons.
Star Wars Survivor Island even rolls off the tongue.
It does.
We should get Jon Favreau and Taika Waititi too while we're at
Well,
it.
That's awesome.
I'll just say
Bring
this:
'em all.
like, I think we could do all sorts of stuff like that because when we would do ranking shows in the past, it's always been a lot of fun. So maybe we could do that again. Do more of that, right? I like the idea of pitting a lot of things against each other and we choose
What
it.
the fuck is that, Max?
Yeah, why is this happening? I'm so confused.
I think
right
Are we
Drew
playing
Sullivan?
Drawful?
We're playing Drawful.
Brand-
Guess what
I
it is.
forget.
Come
I
up with the
forget.
title.
Brandy, I don't think Brandy loves Star Wars much because she's like,
But-
please don't make
but
me
you
watch
know
Star
what?
Wars again.
I love Brandy, and that's okay.
Yeah, I'm not. I was just making a note. That's all.
I agree that Phantom Menace is superior to Attack of the Clones.
I
yes.
think that's a lot of
I think
people
Attack of the
that,
Clones
yeah.
is the worst Star Wars movie, keeping in mind that I think any Star Wars movie is fun and joyful because it's Star Wars.
What
I
you said.
mean, it's no secret I have BB-8 tattooed on my back, so Star Wars is the shit. You know what, though? I think we've been talking a while. We've been hanging out. I feel thoroughly unwound. I think it's a good time to sort of wrap it up. Until next week, what do you guys think?
Yeah,
Unwind.
I'm
Oh,
good with that.
Malcolm says he'll reach out to Taika Waititi for us, so that's awesome.
thanks.
Oh, that's right.
I'd also like to have him do like a Suddenly soundtracks for like chess.
Sure.
I've never
I
seen
think
that.
Taika would have a lot to say about chess. My dream Suddenly soundtracks is Phantom of the Opera with Ryan Johnson
That'd be great.
because he loves Phantom of the Opera, and I love
Phantom.
Ryan Johnson, and I think that would be incredible.
And I've not done an Andrew Lloyd Webber musical yet. so-
And if you can get Sarah Brightman there, I will be there.
Of
Oh,
course.
there's a lot going on with Suddenly too, so make sure to check that out too.
Yeah, I'm gonna quickly go through again some of the stuff we have coming up on the channel in the next few days. Tomorrow night, Monday, we're doing family-friendly scary movie squad with Frank and Weenie, doing both the short film and the animated feature. They're both on Disney Plus. We're going to start at our normal time, 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. I'm super looking forward to it. I think Frank and Weenie is a delight. Tuesday, exclusively on the PJ Campbell Network Twitch. So if you haven't gone over there and followed us on Twitch, you should. We're doing Pokemon, PJ Campbell Network, Randomized Adventures, Fire Red and Leaf Green with myself, my wife, Sean Sully, Jillian, Chris, and Kristen Smith. Our starters, every trainer, every gym leader, and every encounter randomized. That's going to be at 11 Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, only on Twitch. That's going to be a lot of fun. Bear with us. It's an experiment. There's going to be 6 different screens going. I don't know if it's going to work. We're going to try our best.
Hopefully
Luckily,
it
it's Game Boy Advance, so it's not going to require a lot of graphics.
Nope.
So hopefully it won't overload the stream too much. Wednesday night, I am so looking forward to this. Suddenly soundtrack, add it to playlist Halloween party. We're being joined by Danny and Rachel Silvestrini, myself and Tim and Chris. It's going to be super fun. There's so many great songs we're talking about. I've gotten a sneak peek at the playlist. It's going to be a blast, a spooky blast. Thursday night, there's nothing. And as I mentioned on a couple other shows, Front Center Mez is on just a little bit of a hiatus for the next couple of weeks. We'll be back in November with new episodes. That's due to scheduling. Also, just, staying in the Halloween mood. And if you haven't watched our Halloween episode where we talked about our favorite spooky musicals, it was a lot of fun. We were joined by Video Drew and Preston Max Allen. That was a great show. That brings us to Friday, which is Halloween Eve. And I can think of no better way than to celebrate Halloween Eve than with Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow.
One of his best.
An incredible cast of British actors. It's on the Netflix.
And Johnny Depp.
and Johnny Depp, who might
It's
as well
basically- it's-
who might as well be British at this point. Like I don't
Right.
even know what his accent
Right.
is in anything.
Basically all Harry Potter actors and Johnny
Yeah.
Depp.
It's on the Netflix. Hopefully, it will still be Netflix on Friday. I think all of us will be there, probably some others, and I know Aaliyah's joining us. That's going to be fun. And then, guys, it's Halloween, and we're doing our double feature: Trick or Treat and the Halloween 18. I love both of these movies, and yes, I'm spoiling it now. There will be some costumes from us.
I know that
I'm going to the
got
Halloween store
something.
tomorrow.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun because it sucks that we're all like, what's happening on Halloween this year on a Saturday night? This year kind of
Like, I want to go out and party. I want to, go to a haunted house.
I got to get makeup.
Yeah. So what are we going to do? We're going to party here. We're going to hang out here. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm probably going to be drunk. Maxwell will be drunk. Tim will be drunk. It's going to be a lot of fun. Chris will be our designated streamer.
I'll be a designated driver. Yeah.
We've got Kristen Smith. Everyone's going to come on and hang out. It's going to be so much
Yeah.
fun.
And as I mentioned earlier, this is just a bit of advance notice because some of you joined us late. We are doing something very interesting on election night. We are doing what we are calling the PJN Safe Space. We're going to do that at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. We're going to hang out. We're going to keep it casual. We're going to tell fun stories, keep an eye on the election results.
We're going to play Jackbox, too.
Oh, perfect. We're just making it.
Yeah. Oh, we are. That's perfect.
Yeah,
That makes sense. They would keep it for Halloween season.
Oh, Mike.
We could play some Jackbox.
Yeah, maybe we'll play some games, keep our eye on the results, just because this year, especially with being so separated from people with COVID and the results being so uncertain and potentially life-changing. Yes.
Yeah,
Liz's costume is incredible. We'll be hanging out all election night. I don't know how long it's going to go, but we'll be there for you. If you need support, we'll be there all night.
Election night drawful is going to be awful.
Yeah, I know that this,
space.
again, like everything we've said is still really true to this point, is that I know how hard this stuff is right now. I know how many of us are scared. I know how many of us are stressed out. And that night is going to be even worse because we're still having this idea that it can really go either way because none of us want to get comfortable in any direction. And so I would love to be able to hang out with people who need a place to go. We can we'll talk about what's going on, but also doing other things. Maybe we'll do some games and things like that and just really try to get your guys' mind off of it while also trying to help you get through whatever's happening.
We're not going to completely ignore it. Like we'll be checking in and doing some updates about.
But it's
the
also to
results.
keep your mind off of.
But it's to keep.
stress.
I really think safe space is the perfect way to call it. And if you join us, great. And if not, and it's just us, that'll be good because I feel like
It's
we
good
need it
for
for
us.
ourselves.
Yeah. Look, all I'm going to say is we're going to have to talk about our favorite presidents on film during that, though.
Oh yeah, I have so many.
I have so many.
Should we do a President Survivor Island?
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
We talked about this at the beginning also. Our good friend and beloved member of the community, Kevin Smeths, is going through a really rough time right now. He was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. There's a GoFundMe page where you can donate some money to help him out. And I know that there's some other things in the works from the community to help him and his family. He recently got married and has a beautiful baby. We're all here for him, not just financially, but morally. If you pray, you can pray for him. Whatever it is you do to send out positive energy in the world, Kevin and his family can certainly use it right now. He's truly one of the best of us, and the fact that he, of all people, not that I'm saying anyone should, but when bad things happen to good people, it's especially difficult. So keep spreading around the hashtag Smash Cancer. Donate if you can. If you haven't already, I know him and his family are eternally grateful.
Yeah.
And of course, our patrons. We thank you so much. We have 2 new executive producers, Brandy Parker and Ricardo Franco. No relation to Tim. We think Brandon Buckingham, Kale the Youth Critic, Stephen White, Ferris Muthana, Michael K, Bador, Molly Damon. We love you guys. We couldn't do this without you. Your support does not go unnoticed. And if you haven't, check out the Discord. We're going to be sending out emails soon to ask when we're going to schedule a patron exclusive AMA. So if you haven't joined and that sounds like something you might like, check out our Patreon. I'll throw up the graphic real quick just so you can see some of what we have to offer.
It's cool.
Chris, where can you be found? And if you want to finally reveal your salad username, now's the time.
Oh yeah, salad username at Laxon for lowfat8788. But no, you can find me at Twitter and Instagram at ChrisClark8788. Those numbers mean nothing.
Chris.
You can also find me, yes, on Suddenly Soundtracks and tomorrow on Tuesday night. I guess it's technically the return of family game night since we're just doing Pokemon, so it's gonna be fun. So make sure to check that out. And there's more announcements of Suddenly Soundtracks too, so I will keep you guys posted with that and stuff because there's a lot of there's a charity stream too. So fun. Smash Cancer, amen to that.
Tim, where can everyone find you online? Is there anything else you have going on that you want to? Thank you for joining us, Camshaft. We'll see you around.
No, you can just find me on Twitter, tfranco84. Other than that, I'm just watching movies, hanging out here, and I'm working, and drinking beer, and hanging out with my dogs, and that's pretty much it.
That sounds like a pretty good life.
Yeah.
PJ?
Happy.
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at PJ_Campbell. You can find me here hanging out with all these fantastic, lovely people where we geek out, have a good time, relax, joining all of you wonderful people in the chat. And of course, you can find me at the Movie Trivia Schmodown, where I am the head writer and be nice to the writers. We're really working hard trying to give you guys the best show possible. I think that the singles tournament was some of the best run the show has ever seen. Thank you guys for your continued support and your nice words. If you don't have nice words, well, that's fine too, but please keep them to yourselves.
And speaking of the Schmodown, I just have to say it was just announced the undercard for the Wildberries retirement match is Video Drew versus Jen Kemp.
Yep.
And I'm not sure I can think of a previous match in the Schmodown where I was so torn over who to root for because both of them are good friends of mine.
Yeah,
I love them as people. I love them as competitors. They're both on this channel a lot.
Yeah.
So as Mike K said earlier, whoever wins, we all win. I think that's going to be an incredibly exciting undercard.
It's the PJCN Civil War.
Basically.
Yeah, that's I mean, there's a lot of other in-jokes that have become from our channel into the show for some of our fans. So this could be just the next one.
Right. So maybe whoever wins will have them on to gloat a little bit because they're on the network a lot anyways.
Yeah. And real quick, I want to shout out Ferris, who donated $20 to the Streamlab. Thank you, Ferris.
Thank you, Ferris.
He wanted to say thank you for the Back to the Future digital code that I gave him.
Aw.
He's the best, Ferris.
And by the way, the winners of the book have been notified. I'm shipping those out this week. I have their addresses. So maybe we'll do another contest in the future. I like giving away stuff. So we'll see. But you can find me on Twitter at Cinemaxwell, Instagram at Cinemaxwell Inc. You can find me pretty much every night on this godforsaken network. And we'll see you tomorrow for Frank and Weenie. Much love, much peace. And please, please, please vote. Go and vote. Make your voice heard. Do your civic duty. Yeah. Have a good night, everyone.
Vote.
Good night. Vote.